What's going on, everybody? It's me coming at you from Taos, New Mexico, in a hotel, 6:57 a.m. I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't been able to get this analysis out because I've been doing so much stuff. So thanks so much for waiting. And now we can begin our analysis of the Bluegrass Breakdown tab for the Jam Circle Slappers, episode 7. Pretty sure it is. So let's talk about it. So this song is at 150 beats per minute, and the idea is a lot of the stuff that I play is a lot of go-to Scruggs style stuff that you can play when you're playing really fast. So a lot of the rhythmic motifs, chord shapes, and like left-hand pull-offs and hammer-ons are a lot of things that I'll play pretty regularly when I don't know exactly what I'm doing, and I just gotta just like throw for it. Like this whole series was more or less improvised. I mean, I just like know I didn't like prepare anything because just stuff that I've already like prepared earlier on in my life. So now looking back on it, I can reflect and show you exactly it is what I was doing and what I was thinking, I guess. Anyways, let's get right to it. So basically, these first I'll just play through like those bars. So it's like. So basically, what's happening right there? It's like, and you can see I just wrote the chords the first time through the song. G, G flat, G, and then F and G. But basically, the big idea here, that first measure, first it's a index forward dabalina, and then a Foggy Mountain breakdown. So one thing that I want to illustrate, so I'll take that. I'm gonna go down here so I have some scratch. Let's see. Okay, so here's that roll, right? I'm gonna get rid of this, and I'm gonna simplify it and just do. I'm just gonna do that. So that's the Foggy Mountain breakdown roll. I always see these as two 4-note rolls. That first two is index, middle, thumb, middle. It's kind of a trick, but you should know this if you're this far along. That's 1, 2, thumb 2, and then this guy right there is a thumb forward. So that's kind of like a compound roll. 1, 2, thumb 2, thumb 1, 2, thumb. I'm going to be doing this a lot. So that's the Foggy Mountain breakdown roll. I'm not going to play too loud right now because it's 7 a.m. in a hotel. But what I do want to illustrate is this whole idea of roll abbreviations. So you can take that Foggy Mountain breakdown roll, delete the second note, and then you have this roll, which I call the Bob Dabalina roll because it makes the rhythm Bob Dabalina, Mr. Bob Dabalina. So that's Bob Dabalina, Mr. Bob, and it'll start again right there. Hopefully that makes sense. But I just want to show you that Bob Dabalina, which is like an index forward, because like you do that index right there, and then index forward right there. Just want to illustrate that roll is an abbreviation of the Foggy Mountain breakdown roll. I'm going to show you a few more roll abbreviations as we move forward, but that is what's happening on this first measure right here. And then so we're just playing the double stop, so that's actually, it's like an alpha G, so the first inversion G, and it's just it's that first inversion alpha G, except just on the first and second strings. And then this guy right there, it's just alpha G flat. So, and then what's nifty about this guy right here, that actually continues to be a Foggy Mountain breakdown roll. So if I put this right here, and if you just like take away, we're just gonna take away this and just analyze the roll, you'll see that guy right there, it's gonna be the same as this one right here, but what happens is that note goes here, and that's where you get this. So it's still a forward roll. So it's still 1, 2, thumb 2, and then thumb forward, and you end right there. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So this is going to be a good thing to like look at because it's going to happen a lot in this song. It's going to happen so much that I'm gonna go over a lot of it I'm gonna skip a lot of it where this happens in the future because I do it so much. But that's basically it. So all like that 8-note roll is basically like an abbreviation of a Foggy Mountain breakdown. That is a Foggy Mountain breakdown, and that is a Foggy Mountain breakdown. Okay, so then there's this guy. So I'm going to put this down here. We're going to analyze it. Um, I'm gonna get rid of that. Well, I guess we can do it right here. So basically, what you want to see, that is a square roll. Thumb one, thumb two. That's thumb one, thumb two. It's an alternate thumb roll. This guy right here. Well, let's take a look at this. That guy right there, I basically see it as an abbreviated square roll, because if you put that note right there, it's thumb one, thumb two. It's an alternate thumb roll. But that guy is deleted. So what you'll see is a lot of these, like, and these guys, if you repeat them, they're kind of like, the rhythm, it goes like thumb, thumb to thumb, thumb to thumb. And a lot of people refer to that as a bum ditty. It goes bum ditty bum ditty bum ditty bum. So it's an abbreviation of a square roll, kind of, but even though you're coming out of Foggy Mountain Breakdown, so that is an index. So again, that's kind of like a little bit of a variation, but still, that thumb two right there is definitely an abbreviation of a square roll. So this guy that happens right here, it should feel like two square rolls. It will. But that's where this guy comes from. And I'm going to do this a lot, but the thing to look out for is that little thumb two that comes before a square roll. So basically, that piece right there is basically like a 6-note square roll that just starts on the thumb two, thumb one, thumb two. Because it would be like thumb one, thumb two, thumb one, thumb two, but there's an abbreviation. So that guy right there is like it's an abbreviation of a square roll into a square roll. And again, what's important about this is how you can kind of like just forget about what you're playing and just play fast. So that little thumb two, that little bum ditty, that guy right there, it's going to happen a lot in this piece, and I'll just keep pointing them out to you. But that's like a bum ditty into a square roll. The bum ditty itself is an abbreviation of a square roll. Okay, back to the tune. Okay, so that basically covers that measure, and now this guy, I'm going to be doing this roll a lot. What this whole thing is, I've talked about this roll before. I actually learned this roll at Banjo Camp. But what it is it's actually a quadruple forward roll. You'll see there's one forward roll and another forward roll, right? And that happens twice, and that's over an F chord. You get that open D string, so the open D string over F. It's technically the sixth, so it's like an F6, if you will. And then you throw in, guess what roll that is? A square roll. Yeah, so that's the roll. It's not too bad. This thing I'd strongly recommend getting under your fingers. Yeah, so that's a really nifty measure of that F chord. Okay, now we got some Scruggs style. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, this is something that I tend to do. This, like right here, let me put this down here. So basically what this guy is, and it looks, I don't like writing in all the slides, but let me just do it like this. So it's kind of like a forward back. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like that. You'll see that is that first four notes, that forward roll and that forward roll. Those forward rolls are the same. It's still thumb, 1, 2, thumb. That guy right there, thumb, 1, 2, thumb. But what's different is this. That guy, so this, that's a backward roll right there. This one right here, I do this one, I don't know, it just feels right. It's more syncopated. The difference is where that 3 comes in. In this case, it comes in on like a 1 E and a 2 E. On the E of 2. In this one, the 3 comes in on the and of 2. So this guy, it's more syncopated, and I don't know, I just feel it. I think throughout this entire arrangement, I feel this one more, even though this one is more simple, but I just do this one a lot. And that roll right there, it's actually an alternate middle roll. If you get rid of that 2, you can see it a little better. That's 2, 1, 2, thumb. That right there. So it's an alternate middle roll. So it's kind of like, it's like a substitute for a forward backward roll, basically. So that guy right there, thumb forward into this alternate middle. I'm going over this so explicitly because I do these a ton in this arrangement, and we're not gonna go through every measure because every measure is like repeated a lot. So yeah, so that's that. And then there's this guy. This is actually a pretty interesting roll. That right there, it's actually the Foggy Mountain Breakdown roll, the 1, 2, thumb 2. Yeah, so that guy right there, I mean, if you put that right there, that little quadruplet right there would be, 1, 2, thumb 2. But again, this is what I do when I improvise at high speeds. That roll itself becomes apparent. So there's your like 1, 2, thumb 2, and then there right there another square roll. So it's kind of like it's like a square roll Foggy Mountain Breakdown. So I got that 1, 2, thumb 2 into a square. That note right there leads. You can hear it leads into the F chord. You'll see that measure 5 is the same as measure 3. And then let's see this. Okay, so thing to key into, that measure right there is going to be the same roll as this measure. The only thing is that instead of sliding on the 3rd string, you're sliding on the 2nd string. So instead of, you're going same roll. That's the important thing. You want the same roll, but the left hand goes in a different place. The only thing is the index finger goes to the 2nd string and not the 3rd. Okay, now let's see this. That right there, it's kind of like, I kind of understand that. It's kind of actually an abbreviation of a Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Like that 1, 2, thumb 2, and then a square, which is the same roll that happens here. You kind of see that? A lot of these motifs are going to be repeated. But now you're going to slide to that D note. So kind of that little thing kind of is like a Bob Doubleina. Bob Doubleina, Mr. Bob. Okay, and then this is just Foggy Mountain Breakdown. You can see if that right there, I mean, yeah, it's just good to understand that, like thumb and then index forward for 6. That's how I would see it. And then this right here, pretty clearly, Bob Doubleina. 1, 2, thumb 2 for the first 4, and then thumb 1, 2, thumb, and then right here you land into an index forward for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Oh, and then middle reverse. You can kind of see that. And it'll be clearer if you take away like the hammer-ons and pull-offs. But then you can just see that roll right there. Then I'm looking at the quadruplets. You can see them tied together with those 2 horizontal lines. So it's index forward right there. You can see it's just a forward roll starting on the index finger. It actually goes for 5 right there. But that 5th note pivots into a middle reverse. So I don't know if I'm sounding kind of weird, but this is definitely how I understand the banjo. And if you want to get good at this kind of stuff, what you want to do is just emphasize the note that's on the downbeat. So the note that's at the beginning of those horizontal lines. Those are the downbeats. So like, see, I'm trying to just emphasize those notes. Anyways, I wrote in all the slides and pull-offs, but I actually don't like writing all the slides and pull-offs, but some people do, but I don't. And then this right here, this is classic. It's kind of like Cripple Creek kind of thing. Yeah, just index pinch, not too bad. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next thing. This is the same. We don't need to talk about. We already talked about that. This looks like the same. That's an abbreviated Foggy Mountain Breakdown. You can see there's that 1, 2, thumb 2 again, but it's kind of clever because it plays the thumb on the 5th string. Square roll right there. That guy's the same. We already talked about that. That is the same. We already talked about that. Hopefully you can see that that's kind of like a substitute for a forward back roll, but that's alternate middle roll, 1, 2, thumb 2. And then here, Foggy Mountain, 1, 2, thumb 2, into a square. That's an F. We already did that. That quadruple forward into a square. And then here's again a 3-0-2 lick, but it has that alternate middle roll right there that adds a little more rhythmic tension. Okay, there's a bum ditty into a square into the D chord right there. And this guy we already talked about. That guy has this is like a thumb and then index forward, Foggy Mountain. We already did this. And I think this one we already talked about. Yeah, that's index forward into the middle reverse. I know it looks kind of ugly because of all the slides and pull-offs, but that's a middle reverse. So index forward, middle reverse, which is a kind of mode of the forward backward roll, believe it or not. It may not be thumb forward, middle reverse, but it is a kind of a forward backward roll. Index forward, middle reverse, and then the double pinch. Okay, and Bluegrass Breakdown is a 3-part tune. It's like G, G flat, G, F, G, F, G, D, and then G. Okay, now the third part, it goes to C. Now it like kind of plays like Lonesome Road Blues. So you see what I have highlighted here is the that is like the C part. So let me play it for you. Now we're gonna go up the neck. Okay, so what's happening there? A lot of Foggy Mountain Breakdown rolls, a lot of square rolls. Okay, so right here we already talked about that. This whole thing, forget the roll. We're going up G inversions on the first and second string. So you got alpha G, beta G, and then gamma G. And we're just like, look, it's just playing Foggy Mountain Breakdown rolls. So that right there, it's an index 4 Bob Dobalina. Because remember, if we put that there, it would in fact be a perfect Foggy Mountain. But we're not doing that. And now there's that. So it goes. And now here's where it kind of turns into Lonesome Road Blues. It'll make more sense if you take away the hammer-on and it just looks like this. It's actually just like it's a perfect middle forward roll. It's just like a 9-note roll that starts on the middle finger, and then you just have that little hammer-on and pull off. Or the hammer-on. And then here's another kind of index 4 Dobalina into a square in that kind of E minor Foggy Mountain Breakdown shape. So as long as you aim for that square roll, you'll be okay. And just see that index middle as a prefix. So it's a 6. I mean, it's kind of like a 6-note roll. But then you just got to get that 8th note at the top of it. Da ticka taka ticka. I see a lot of people miss this. They just think it's a 16th note. It's not. It's an 8th note. Got to key into that. It's a da ticka taka da ticka taka ticka. Not daka ticka taka ticka. And then you'll be short a note. Okay, now it really is just like it is a lot like Lonesome Road Blues. Yeah, that guy right there, what's tricky about this is that is actually secretly a Bob Dobalina roll, but it has a slide. My boy Matt was missing that for a while. See, it's actually it's an index and then index forward into double pinch on that G minor, which actually makes like a C7 add 9. So it's just hip. So anyways, I'll just add that slide in there, but you can see that slide is going to make the roll more difficult because you think you're going to have to pluck that second note, but you don't. So you just got to listen to it and get a feel for it. Okay, and then boom, a square roll. And then right there, this guy, classic Earl Scruggs, that's an alternate middle roll, 1-2 thumb do. And then that's 1-2 thumb do into a square. And then that index forward into a square. Yeah, and then this guy is the same. You can see the use. I mean, remember, it's supposed to be really fast, so you can see the use of. This guy's the same. We already talked about that. And then this guy, index forward Dobalina on that C7. Okay, now this is very much like Lonesome Road Blues. So what's happening here? Middle reverse, thumb forward. So again, that's a kind of like forward back roll, but it's actually backward forward. Yep. And then this roll we've already talked about. And then here we're playing. This is actually, again, you can kind of see it's a substitute for a Foggy Mountain Breakdown. You know what I mean? If you had that, kind of be like 1-2 thumb 2. But we're not doing that. So you can see, just look for the Bob Dobalinas, just some note and then a kind of forward roll for 6. Foggy Mountain Breakdown, and then this roll, that whole measure is going to be the same as that one. So again, what you see is reverse, forward, and then index forward, or like index forward Dobalina into a square. That's how I see it. Okay, now we're on to the second break. So this guy, it looks like we're just going, again, you can see the Foggy Mountain Breakdown rolls, but we're just going G to G flat, and then, which is just this an octave up, what we already did. Again, this is what you do when you're When you have to play fast, you're not thinking that much. You just like throw for the chord and just go with a roll, you know. Okay, now this guy right here, you can see that's a bob dobalina. That right there, that roll we've already talked about, goes into it's like an index forward into a square. Still makes a bob dobalina rhythm, but what we're doing, if you just follow that, what's happening on the second string, you're going from alpha to gamma to beta. That's the trick. And you're keying off the index finger the whole time. So you're playing that guy, you shift to here, and then you shift to there. It's all about keying off that index finger. That's the trick there. You're just switching inversions and doing rolls that you know. Okay, this guy, we've already done that roll, quadruple forward into a square, but now we're just doing the beta F. We've already talked about that roll. That's 1, 2, thumb 2, and then a square. And this guy's like a bum ditty. Remember that little bum ditty into a square? So this, I'll do this rhythm a lot just because it feels good. It's a... makes really good filler, but it basically feels like square rolls. That guy we already talked about. That's like a quadruple forward into a square. And then here's like a little newgrass lick. I mean, that's just going. It's going from G, like mi, re, do, from like the 3rd degree, 2nd, 1, with the Foggy Mountain Breakdown. And you can see there's kind of like a bum ditty, but it's index forward into a square. So hopefully you understand how I'm getting about this. Now here's a lick. So that's a whole Scruggs style thing right there. Let's see. You can see like index forward into a thumb forward, alternate middle right there. And this is a clever one that I like. It kind of looks like it's going to be a back roll. It's actually an alternate index roll to bring you into that middle reverse. And this guy right here, that's a reverse forward roll. So it's like the opposite of a forward backward. So that's a pretty sweet. And then you got some pinches. We already talked about that. This is the same as we already did it. That's the same as we already did it. So hopefully all this stuff we've already talked about. And see if there's anything new. Let's see. What's this? This we've already. Looks like no. Then it looks like I have a lick. So okay. So I did include a melodic lick. So that melodic lick, that thing. That's definitely a Bill Keith thing. If you want to do it, you just gotta understand it by roll, and you just gotta memorize it. That's thumb forward, and then you have middle forward. My thumb's going onto the 5th string. And then you have thumb reverse, and then middle reverse, and then this is where it gets. Then you have the shift. That's an alternate index roll. And then you have this melodic phrase. That's what it's like the Roanoke scale. It's a lot of that right there is actually a kind of square roll. Just starts on the middle finger. That's an alternate thumb roll. Starts on it's thumb 2. It's a thumb 2 alt thumb roll. So you'll get it. If you've gotten this far, you'll figure it out. Okay, then let's see what happens here. We've already talked about that. This guy we've already talked about. That guy we've already talked about. That we've already talked about. This we've already talked about. Okay, now there's this lick. I do this lick a lot. Of course, I stole it from Bela Fleck. At least part of it. In Stomping Grounds. There's, he's like, it happens in the live art. And it's towards the end of the song, but that's what it's something like that. But basically, it's like this is the downbeat, So it's that little forward up that G minor thing. And then you land with a downbeat on that B note. So a lot of backward forward rolls. And then I do this thing. What up, Bill Keith? Yeah, I mean, that guy. Yeah, the trick is just seeing like the threes and the twos. Like there's a three, and that's kind of a two, and that's a two that leads into like that four, you know? And that right there is a square roll, and then the thumb. So all this stuff should be pretty natural if you just follow the rolls. Okay, now we're getting to the backup. Look like. So now we're going boom chops. So just boom chop, boom chop, boom chop, and then a square. And then, so you see I do that G flat into F. So now right here you see alpha F, boom chop, baga digga, and then baga digga, baga digga. So just look at the roll, don't look at the notes, but it's boom chop and then 3 square rolls. That's thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb 1, thumb 2. Again, so you got to look at it the quadruplet. So those 2 horizontal lines, those are your friend. So that's how you can see the thumb 1, thumb 2s. Anyways, but now these 2 bars are alpha F, and then we shift to beta F. And that brings us back to alpha G. And then it does the same thing in G. So boom chop, double square. And now it looks like it does the same thing. Boom chop, double square. Again, just shifting from the alpha beta inversions. Okay. And then the same thing. Boom chop, square, square. So this guy right here, that D lick, you see there's just like that, what's happening in the voice. That's the voice that's basically leading it. But then you'll see those 2 rolls right there are just squares. You got a boom chop and then a square. So it's all square rolls. And then you just got that voice leading on the 4th string. Now what's happening here? Yeah, and then you got that little bum ditty happening right there. That's basically an abbreviated square roll. Let's see, and then so this looks like you got 3 chops and then a square. G, G flat. Yeah. It looks like I go to a G7 there, a beta G7. And this guy right here, 2 chops on the alpha, and then 2 squares on the beta. And then boom chop. You see I'm going G flat F right there. Still just a combination of boom chops and squares. And then this guy, boom chop, square. Boom chop. Okay, and then this guy right here is kind of like a Scruggs thing. You'll see right there, that's kind of like a bum ditty, like that little 2 right there. It's kind of like a Bob Dobalina bum ditty into a square roll, and then you'll see that's a forward backward roll on a D chord. And that's just kind of like a standard G lick right there. Okay, now we go here to a beta G7 because now we're on the 3rd part. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we do a double square on that beta G7. So there's your beta G, that's your beta G7. And yeah, so that's the whole thing. You can see it just sounds really nice. Just that rhythmic motif. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that goes to a C. That's nice, right? You'll see I'm going alpha C to beta C, boom chops and squares. Again, Here's a G. I think that actually. I think this actually needs to. I think that's wrong. I think I gotta go here. There. It should be that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. And now C again, going to beta alpha, and then boom chop. So that's it, and then it mostly plays the same thing for the A part. So yeah, that's it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.